After a full regular season, 162 games of Major League Baseball, the playoffs are here. I'm going to talk about each series, what I'm expecting in both the wild card and divisional rounds, who I think is going to come away with a World Series championship, and more in this episode of Lots of Thoughts, a sports podcast. Without further ado, let's get into it. Before we get into the meat and potatoes of the baseball talk, I first wanted to shout out the socials. If you're not already following us, you can find us on Instagram and TikTok at Lots of Thoughts Sports. You can find us on Twitter at LOT Sports Pod, on YouTube, Lots of Thoughts, a sports podcast, same name on Facebook as well. If you're listening on an audio platform, there is video episodes of the podcast on the YouTube channel, along with daily video content going up on the YouTube channel every single day. So feel free to check that out. Hit the subscribe button. If you are watching on YouTube and you haven't hit the subscribe button, hit it down below, little red button, and click the little bell next to it. It'll notify you every time a new video comes out, whether it's a new podcast episode or Sporkle or Purtle or Weddle or any of the other series we have going on this channel. So please feel free to do that. And if you like this podcast episode, if you like the Major League Baseball playoffs coming up, go ahead and click the like button as well. It really means a lot to me. If you're listening on an audio platform, please subscribe, leave a 5-star review, tell your friends. I really appreciate all the support on all the platforms. It really has meant a lot to me throughout this fall. It's been really great, the growth on all the platforms, including here on YouTube and on the audio platform as well. So thank you very much for all of that support. Now on to the baseball. And part of me, I'm a Yankees and a Jets fan and a Nets fan, not a Mets. I'm not a double dipper to New York baseball teams. Yankees, Jets, and Nets. And part of me, with the Yankees not playing in the wild card round, wanted to delay recording this episode, or if I was going to record this episode, record it talking about the NBA, the start of the NBA season, and Victor Wembanyama, who's the new draft phenom, expected first round pick or first overall pick next year. And I'm sure I'll talk about him when I have an NBA focused episode relatively soon. But I thought it would be a disservice not to get this out before the wild card rounds start tomorrow when I'm recording this. I guess it's later today. It's about 3 a.m. here in New York, and the first game is at noon, I believe, between Tampa and Cleveland. I felt it was important to get out my bracket, get out my thoughts about each series, who I thought was, really the contenders in the MLB. And that's what we're doing today. I will have an NBA episode, like I mentioned, coming up soon that will talk about the standings, similar to what I did last year, projecting the standings, which I already have laid out. So be on the lookout for that. And there will be Victor Wembanyama talk if that's what you're here for. Today, we're not going to be talking about the 7'4", new young phenom who was born in 2004. A little bit disturbing, by the way. It makes me feel old, even though I'm only 5 years older than him. Anyway, baseball. I think all the best teams made the postseason. I'm going to be honest. I think the teams that missed out, first the Brewers, if you consider the Orioles, I think all the teams in the playoffs should have made it. And all the teams that missed the playoffs should not have made it. That being said, there are some teams in the playoffs with the expanded playoffs now that maybe don't deserve it. And even some that maybe, I shouldn't say don't deserve it. I should say are a step below everyone else, because they all deserve to be playoff teams in my mind. I just said that. But I think there are definitely tiers in the playoffs. And I think you'll see that as I go through today. I think some teams are going to be out very quickly, and I'll talk about that. First up, I'll talk about the series I already mentioned, Tampa Bay and Cleveland, the Rays visiting the Guardians. I think this is going to be a quick series, and the teams that I mentioned about being a little, tier below others, and the Guardians are firmly in that. I think Tampa is firmly in the upper tier, despite them being the 6th seed. They have a lot of very good quality starting pitching. I mean, Shane McClanahan's been a phenom. They got Tyler Glasnow back. Even if he's not going to start, he's going to be a weapon out of the pen for them, probably going, maybe 3 innings starting out. And he's one of the top 10 pitchers in baseball, in my opinion. And they have a very formidable lineup, especially for their payroll amount. And you look on the other side, the Guardians have one of the easier schedules in MLB. They play the AL Central most often, right? And the White Sox were awful. The Twins were bad. The Royals were even worse. And let's not even mention the Tigers. That is one of the most underperforming teams of the whole season. So they kind of had a good cushion. They had a lot of surprising performances from players that they didn't see coming, right? Andres Jimenez and Steven Kwan. And I think, like I mentioned, they're a quality playoff team, but they're still in that lower tier. And I think this series, this 3-game series in the wild card round, of course, first round series, all 3 games, I think it ends up being an over in 2, which is unfortunate for Cleveland fans that are going to go to these games. But, all 3, if you're not familiar with the format, all 3 games in the opening round are going to be hosted by the better seed, 3 games in a row. And I think it'll be disappointing for Cleveland fans who have a lot of faith in this team, but I think it's going to be over pretty quickly. I just realized I never turned my light on. Let's get proper lighting on this episode. Much better. Anyway, so I think, Tampa makes quick work of the Guardians and moves on. Next up, we have the Mariners and the Blue Jays. This is one of the tougher series to predict. I think these are really 2 good quality pitching staffs. Luis Castillo versus Alek Manoah opening game is crazy, only to be followed up by Robbie Ray and Kevin Gausman. It's incredible what these 2 teams can line up in a short series. At the end of the day, I think Seattle is a better regular season team, even though they didn't finish higher. I think they had some bumps in the road, some injuries. Julio didn't play a full season. But I think the Blue Jays have a better lineup, and I think they have a better top 2. I really love Castillo, but I love Manoah more. And I think, oh my gosh, I just said his name. Kevin Gausman is one of the most underrated pitchers in baseball, in my opinion. Their lineups are very close, but I'd still have the Blue Jays. I do have the Mariners bullpen above the Blue Jays. I think this series goes 3, but I think the Blue Jays take it, especially with it being in Toronto. Seattle's got to fly all the way across the country to face Toronto. I think the Blue Jays take it. On the other side, the NL, the Cardinals and Phillies, this is one of the harder series to predict in my mind. It's hard to know what quality these teams are really throwing out there. The Cardinals, at the end of the day, have the 2 top NL MVP candidates in Nolan Arenado and Paul Goldschmidt, and that makes me want to take them. But the Phillies have been scrappy, man, and ever since Rob Thompson took over for Joe Girardi, they've been playing pretty well. They had a cold streak in the middle, but they got hot at the right time. I'm going to take the Phillies. I'm going to take the Phillies in 3. I think this is going to be an interesting series. It's going to be disappointing to see Albert Pujols, go out, and Yadier Molina, for that matter, go out in the first round. But I think the Phillies have this. And then next, the Padres and the Mets. I think this is the showing of the first round. The Mets really squandered away the division. And I think both of these teams are running out incredible starting staffs. You'll probably have, for the Padres, Yu Darvish going in game 1, Blake Snell, or maybe Joe Musgrove in game 2, and then Blake Snell in game 3. And then for the Mets on the other side, you have Scherzer, DeGrom, and Bassett. 3 bona fide aces, in my opinion. Bassett was the ace of the A's staff. And of course, Scherzer, the ace of the national staff for years, and DeGrom, probably the best pitcher in baseball when he's right. The only thing is, I don't think he's right. And I think that could bode problems for could bode problems. I don't think that's how you're supposed to say that. I think that could cause problems for the Mets. I think the Mets win game 1 with Scherzer on the mound. I think they lose game 2 with Musgrove pitching a gem. I'm struggling to talk today, in case you can't tell. And I think they end up taking game 3. Bassett comes through for them, but I think it's going to be real tough. I think DeGrom's not going to perform too well in this series, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's dealing with a nagging injury. Both teams have very good lineups. Soto hasn't played as well as he could be, and as well as he was for the Nationals, but he's still Juan Soto, and Manny Machado's having an incredible season. Their lineup is so deep. I mean, you got guys like either Cronenworth or Brandon Drury coming off the bench. The acquisition of Josh Bell was really underrated in that trade. A significant upgrade. I love Luke Voigt, loved him on the Yankees, but Josh Bell is a significant upgrade both offensively and defensively. Their lineup is incredible. Their starters are incredible. Josh Hader's figured it out in the bullpen, but I think the Mets barely come through. The biggest question for the Mets is how do they get the ball to Edwin Diaz? They have a great closer and no bullpen in front of them. So if they can get pitching performances that take them close to Edwin Diaz, call it 7 2/3 from Scherzer and 1 1/3 from Diaz, or 6 2/3 from from Bassett and they pull in another reliever only to get, 1 2/3 from Diaz, I think they take this series in 3. So that leads to the next round. The ALDS, or I should say the division series, AL and NLDS, both of which are 5 games. It goes 2-2-1. So home team, or the higher seed hosts 2, lower seed hosts 2, and then the higher seed hosts the game 5. First up, we have the Rays and the Yankees. In my projections, I think the Yankees handle the Rays. I think it'll take all 5 games. This is going to be an intense series between 2 teams who don't like each other. But at the end of the day, despite how good the Rays starting staff is, I think the Yankees have the best top 3 in baseball. And I think the only ones closest is the Mets if they're healthy, and I don't think they are. So, whether it's Severino or Cortez or Cole in game 1, 2, or 3, I think those 3 are good enough to start game 1, 2, 3, and 5, and they'll end up winning the series against Tampa. But it'll be tough. It'll be tough. Both very good lineups as well. On the other side, I have the Blue Jays and the Astros, and it's going to be the Astros. I think this is honestly a sweep. I think they're going to get it over in 3. I think the Astros are one of the more complete teams in baseball. Their bullpen's a little suspect. When Ryan Stanek's your best reliever, that's a bit concerning. But I think their lineup is incredible. Yordan Alvarez really hasn't gotten enough love. I know he's been cold, in parts of the season, but he is such an incredible hitter. And if they could find some way to get him in the field, that opens the door up for a lot more offense to be put in the DH spot. Justin Verlander is that guy at the end of the day. Lance McCullers is a great number 2. Framber Valdez, I should say, is a great number 2. Lance McCullers is a great number 3. So I think they have the starting staff to get it done in those 3 games, and they eliminate the Blue Jays with a sweep in 3. On the NL side, Braves and Phillies interdivision matchup. I think the Braves are coming in playing like the best team in baseball. They charged back, took the division from the Mets. They have an incredible lineup that's locked in for a long time. Like outside of Dansby Swanson, you have Acuna, you have Albies, you have Austin Riley, you have Michael Harris, all locked up for a long time. Travis d'Arnaud's been playing well. I think they handle the Phillies probably in 4, if I had to guess. Their starting staff is incredible. I mean, Spencer Strider just looks unhittable. And then you bring in Charlie Morton, you bring in Cal Wright, you bring in whoever you want to put in their starting rotation. It's incredible. I think they handle the Phillies in 4. And then between the Mets and the Dodgers, I think the Dodgers get it done. The Dodgers bullpen really worries me. And if there was any flaw in their game, it's their bullpen. Their lineup is one of the best we've ever seen. Their starting staff is very good, even without Walker Buehler. But you don't know who's closing games for them. Is it Bruce Dark-Gratterall? Is it Kenley Jansen? No, I mean, not Kenley Jansen, of course. Is it oh my gosh, what's his name? Now I'm blanking on the guy, Craig Kimbrell. Is it whoever else they're going to put in the in the bullpen in big spots? I don't trust their bullpen as a whole. I don't know who's closing games for them, and I think that's their only weakness. Boy, the Dodgers lineup is just incredible. They do incredible things as a baseball team, and they're going to make major changes to the bullpen in the offseason, and they're going to get Walker Buehler back. Like, I think we're not even acknowledging that fact. Tony Gonsolin's been amazing. Clayton Kershaw is him. Julio Urias. I think the Dodgers get it over in 4 as well. I think the Mets' 4th starter is very suspect. Very suspect. Whether it's Cookie Carrasco or Taijuan Walker, I don't believe in either of them. Nevertheless, their ability to get it to Edwin Diaz in the back of the bullpen. So yeah, I'll take the Dodgers in 4. So the 4 teams we have left, we have the Dodgers, the Braves, the Yankees, and the Astros. Between the Yankees and the Astros, listen, I'm a Yankees fan. You could see, if you're watching on YouTube, you could see my Yankees memorabilia. I got a Yankees garden gnome there. Lovely Yankees metal sign. You can't see it, but it's out of camera. I've got signed baseball cards from Joe DiMaggio and Mickey Mantle in a plaque. I've got an old picture of Mickey Mantle, A-Rod bobblehead from the World Series year, signed Jordan Montgomery baseball, even though he's not playing for the Yankees anymore. I have quite a bit of memorabilia over here on the side. Lots of hats. And I would really love for them to beat the Astros. And every single year I do a prediction episode, I predict the Yankees to win the World Series, or I predict, if it's basketball, I predict the Nets to win the finals. I don't predict the Jets to to do anything because they haven't done anything since I was 10. But I always take my team to go to the finals. And the Astros are one of the best teams in the league, if not the best team in the league. They have incredible starting pitching, an incredible lineup. So it hurts to do this, but give me the Yankees in 5. Break Houston's hearts in Houston. I want to see Aaron Judge build a gigantic home run against Justin Verlander. You'll know if you're a Yankees fan or if you're an Astros fan in the 2019 playoffs. Aaron Judge absolutely belted one into the Crawford boxes off of Verlander, and I'm looking for something similar. I think Verlander can be beat, and once you do that, you destroy the psyche of the Astros. I don't believe in the bullpen at all, really. And I'm going to take the Yankees. I'm going to take them in 5 because I think it's going to be an intense series. Oh, I'm sorry, in 7. It's a 7-game series. 7-game series in the championship series. I'm going to take them in 7. I think it's going to be intense, but I'm going to take the Yankees. And on the other side, the Dodgers and the Braves. This one's tough. This was really tough. But I think what this comes down to is they both have incredible lineups, just absolutely spectacular. They both have really good starting pitching, but I'd take the Braves. But the bullpen, I don't believe is close. I believe in the Braves bullpen significantly more than I believe in the Dodgers bullpen. And for that reason, I'm going to take the Braves in 6. I think they get it done. And I think the Dodgers will end up being one of the biggest disappointments considering they I believe are top 5 in regular season wins this season all time for single season. But I think the Braves get it done. I think they eliminate them. And we have a 1996 World Series matchup, the Yankees and the Braves in the Fall Classic. Braves would have home field advantage. And, well, I predicted the Yankees to beat the Astros. Why stop now? 7 games, game 7 in Atlanta. The Yankees take it. At the end of the day, if you ask me who I'm taking, Spencer Strider or Luis Severino or Garrett Cole or Nestor Cortez, it's close. But if you're comparing any one of those 3 of the Yankees starters against any of the other Braves starters, as good as they are, I'm taking the Yankees starters. Combined with the fact that Aaron Judge is a machine, Giancarlo Stanton is a postseason machine. I shouldn't have gone this long in the video not talking about him. The Yankees have depth. They have young players that are coming up. Oswaldo Cabrera, Oswald Peraza making impacts, and it allows guys like DJ LeMahieu or even Josh Donaldson or Matt Carpenter to be pinch hit weapons off the bench. I believe in the Yankees' depth, and that's why I'll take them in 7 to win the World Series. Shocker, big homer pick here, but that's me, I guess. So that's what I think is going to happen. I think there's definitely some variables that could happen. The Yankees could lose to the Astros, and then all of a sudden you see Astros and Braves World Series, a rematch. I'd pick the Braves, by the way, over the Astros. Maybe you could see Astros and Dodgers, in which case it would be a 2017 World Series matchup. I would take the Astros over the Dodgers in that case. But you never know. I'm excited to watch the MLB playoffs. Like I said, there will be an NBA preview episode coming out soon. So, keep on the lookout for that. But until then, enjoy the baseball playoffs. It's going to be an incredible ride into November. So stay tuned for all the games. Well, this has been it for this MLB playoff preview episode. If you like the content, feel free to follow us on all our socials. Find us on Instagram and TikTok at Lots of Thoughts Sports, on Twitter at LOT Sports Pod. You can find us on YouTube, Lots of Thoughts, a sports podcast. You can also visit our website. I failed to mention that at the beginning of the episode, lotsofthoughts.godaddysites.com. There you can access the Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, LinkedIn, YouTube, podcast, newsletter, merch, all on the website, lotsofthoughts.godaddysites.com. Thank you very much for watching. If you like this video, click the like button if you're watching on YouTube, or subscribe to the podcast feed if you're listening on an audio platform. Click the little bell on YouTube if you want to get notified on all our daily video content. If you're listening on an audio platform, go ahead and head over to YouTube too. Hit the subscribe button over there. I'd really appreciate it. Thank you very much for watching this episode, and have a wonderful rest of your day.